Hi everyone. So basically, most small e-commerces store restock the same way, whereby someone just glances through the spreadsheet, guesses, and that is how they end up selling out of their best product during their busiest work. So basically, now we have let's assume for a particular store, a Fairwheel goods store has nobody to check their sales velocity against their lead time for every SKU every day. So I built a system that does it automatically for them. So here meet our AI inventory forecaster. So here is our AI inventory forecaster that does the forecast for us. So what does this AI does is to forecast the product that's going to go out of sale and also tell us when we are expected to reorder this particular product. So first is we place an order from Shopify. If you create an order, it's going to automatically move into the first workflow. So this, once it gets to the n8n, the n8n is going to split those order into individual product lines, and then it's going to append them into their respective sheet, which is either the order line and also the SKU catalog. So this is the first workflow, and that is how it works. So once a customer order from the Shopify store, is going to take into the n8n, and then it's going to log the data. So let's go to our n8n store. I'm going to create a new order, and then we see how that is going to execute. So I'm going to add product. Let's see what kind of product I want to add. I want to add this. So I add this product. So once I add the product, I add a customer. So once I add the product, I want to collect. I'm going to mark as page. Once I mark as page, I'm going to create an order. So I'm going to create an order now. So execute this workflow and create an order. So once I create an order, I'm going to see this workflow execute. All right, so basically this is how the workflow works. It takes in the order that we want. So once it takes in the order that we want, then this flattening line items is going to take individual. So we have different products. So it's going to split those order into their individual product lines, and then it's going to log it into the sheet. So if we go back to our sheets, we should see the data. So you can see this is the data that we just logged. Needs review is true. So because this is a new product that was just SKU product that was just added, and we don't have it in our SKU catalog. And if we go to our order, which you see an order that represent that, which is this, and the quantity one and the pricing. So now that we've done that, we are going to move to the next workflow. The next workflow, it runs basically every 6 a.m. in the morning. So once a day is going to execute. So what it does is that it's going to pull 90 days of order history and calculates the real sales velocity for every product. And that velocity plus each of the SKU supplier lead time and also the safety stock, and is going to get it handed to the Grok AI. So what does this Grok AI is going to do is that it's going to reason about exactly when each product is about to run out and when it also needs to be reordered. So this AI is going to just predict when this particular product is going to run out of stock and when it should be reordered before this particular product is going to go out of stock. So basically it's just trying to let us to act fast in our daily activities, and also not to allow not to lose in any product that is about to go out of stock. So this is how this second workflow does, and I'm going to show you that. So once we go to our second workflow, which is the forecast engine, basically where the forecasting is going to work, we have our daily trigger is running every 6 a.m., which is why we have this method. And then it takes this provider. We are setting our provider config here. You can use the n8n environment variable. It's getting the SKU catalog and the 90 days order history. Then we are combining them with a merge node. Once we combine them, we compute the sales, which I've mentioned. So it's taking the true data, and then it's going to compute the velocity sales for each SKU that was provided. So once we do that, and we are sending the data to Grok to predict the products that is going out of stock and when it is expected to when we are expected to buy that product back before it go out of stock. Then we validate the output so that it does just not hallucinate the result for us, and then we send it back to the third workflow. So I'm going to execute this and we see how it's going to run. So it's running now. Now it's forecasting the results for us. So it's done and it's going to send the data. And if we check our execution, should get the new data that was sent to us. So this is the new data. So it's already passed the data, and so here we are having 7 items. You're having 7 items from what it's predicted, which is the part of the SKUs, the one that we just added from our Shopify store. So here is the details. We have the predicted stock out date and the recommended buy date. Then the confidence, tell us the confidence of that prediction, which is high. We also have high, medium, and we also have low for this. So once it predict that, it's going to give us the reason and at velocity of, so it's going to give us the details. So once it gives us the details, it's going to send that forecast details into our third workflow. So what does this third workflow does is that, so here is the third workflow. The third workflow, when the forecast gets written back into the spreadsheet, so it's going to get these forecast details written back into the spreadsheet of their particular SKU, and anything entering the restock window within the next 7 days gets visually highlighted, so that let's say your employee wants to go to the spreadsheet and see which particular date, they don't have to look through all the details of the sheet. They just have to look at the highlighted product, and then they are able to know this particular product is going out of stock and is not going to, so they are able to visually know what particular products should be quickly reordered and also what particular products are going out of stock. So at that point, now is when the update alert is going to show. It's going to update the details, which is the SKU catalog, and also is going to update the urgent rows that are highlighted. So these urgent rows are the ones that are expected action quickly. So then it's going to send a Slack message of restock alert. So this is the third workflow, and that is how it's going to work. So I'm going to go to the third workflow. Like we have seen, that has already executed because the data was passed by the second workflow, which is this. So once it passed that, we are getting the full catalog to know the catalog that we have in our system. And also here is the split out. It's going to split out. We have one individual item, so it's going to split out them into different single item of SKU. So once we do that, we are filtering the SKU by their entry buying window. So we want to by their buy date. We are using that to predict. So out of that 7 items, you can see we have 3 items that are needed fast action. In our second workflow, you can see here in the result that we got here, we have 3 high and the rest are medium and low. So basically that is why it's telling us that this particular product are needed action immediately, because they are probably going out of stock or they are needed to be reordered. So basically that is why we have these 3 items. So it's going to send a message of restock alert into the Slack, and the team will be able to be aware of which particular products are going out of stock and which particular products they are to ordered immediately, and then going to update the sheets. And if you go to our Slack, you can see we have 3 SKUs entering the restock window. So these are the SKU entering the restock windows. So it's going to alert them. And if we go back to our sheet, you should see the details. So here now, so here is our order. And if you go to our SKU catalog, you can see it's able to highlight those products that are needed to be acted upon. So basically we have these 3 products, so they don't have to skim through all the product to be able to know which particular product needed an action. So basically this is how this workflow works. And one of the things it takes out is it takes out, let's say, the manual amount of time you are using to guesswork or to find products that are going to go out of stock. And also it helps your team to work effectively, and also it lets you to gain more revenue and don't lose out of products that are moving faster and products that are moving slower. So here is this workflow, and I hope we got what I've explained, and I will see you in the next one. Kindly like, share, and comment if you have anything you want to ask. And also, I build this kind of automation system. You can send a DM and I can help you to draft a solution and build it out for you. Thank you very much. Bye.